Hey there, guys. It's Mia here. I am so excited. I am so excited about this live today. I'm going to share very simply how to create a transition plan for yourself so that you can get yourself free. How to create a transition plan no matter where you are right now. Maybe you own a business currently, but that business owns you, or you're trading time for dollars. Maybe you're a therapist or you're delivering a high value service and you're exchanging time for dollars. How to get yourself free from that. Or maybe you're just getting started in business and you want a model that will work from you from the very beginning, because the only reason you want to build a business is so that you can live your life on your own terms. I'm Mia Redrick, a business and life consultant. I want to welcome you to the Giant Life and Business Results show. And here is where I have the opportunity to share from my heart many of the things that have worked for me and things that have worked for my clients over the course of the years to be able to build a business that has changed their life. Now, tonight's live is going to do exactly that. I'm going to share very simply what you can do if you have a goal to get yourself free, what you can do to do that. And my intention is to let you know that it is absolutely possible, because so many people think it's not possible, that the only way to get yourself free, I'll tell you a couple of those myths, is to retire, right? That you have to wait until you retire to get yourself free, but you can build a transition plan for yourself. Here is my story. When I got started in my business 20 years ago, I came up with a transition plan. And literally at the time, I had just had my youngest son, who is now 18. And I remember saying to I think I might have been pregnant actually. And I remember saying to some of my friends on the playground with, taking the other two children with me, that by the time my youngest son was in school all day, I wanted to have figured out this business. I wanted the business to have legs and to be able to stand on its own. And I wanted to be able to be that entrepreneur that created transition for myself. And the reason I say that is because I built my business for freedom. And if you're listening to this live, if you're watching the replay, or if you're watching it live, and doesn't matter what the channel is, if you desire freedom, I want you to write hashtag freedom, because for me, that's how it all started. Literally, I was on a playground. I had an idea of what I was going to do in my business. I wasn't sure if the idea would work. I wasn't sure if I'd have any customers. I wasn't sure exactly all the paths forward, but I did have an intention to build a business that would get myself free. And that was my intention. That was really what I wanted. And this is why, because what I knew was I knew I could do 9 to 5 or 9 to 7. That would be easy for me. I knew that I would move through the corporate ranks very easily. I came from a corporate background as a corporate trainer. I knew that with my skill set, I would move all along and I would, get the rubber plant and have the corner office and get the accolades for being amazing at what I do, because I was amazing at what I did. But what I couldn't reconcile with a traditional model of work was my freedom. I wanted to be the mom that could be at everything. I wanted to be at everything. And I did say everything. I mean everything. I wanted to be at everything. And I don't say this to say that that's your desire. It was my desire. I want you to think about you. I wanted to be at everything. I wanted to be at every play. I wanted to be at every game. I wanted to do those things. And I also wanted to date my husband in the middle of the day. And I knew that in order for me to live the life that I desired, that I had to be free. So I built my business with those intentions in mind. And that was before I was super clear about, being a mom strategist, building a business as a brand, doing corporate partnerships. I didn't know any of those things. I just had the intention of how I wanted to live, which I believe is one of the most powerful questions you could ever ask yourself. And it was the question that I answered for myself. And as a result of me having that intention, I then decided to put into place a structure in my business that would accommodate the life I wanted to live. So I hope that this supports you in just hearing my story, because I'm going to go deep on this today. And my only goal is to let you know this is possible for you. And a lot of times we're uncomfortable with this conversation, or we're not interested in this conversation because we actually don't have people in our world who are unconventionally free. I've been a full-time entrepreneur for over 20 years, which is amazing. My husband and I both have been. My kids have never seen their mom or dad ever work a conventional job. They've just seen us run our companies. And I say this to you from a place of knowing, okay? And I realized how lonely it was for me when I first got started in business and I'm thinking about what I want to do. And there were not a lot of folks that I could go to, not my parents, not my neighbors, not my friends, who were also this kind of thinker. And I hope that if that's you right now, you're going to lean in, right? Because I'm going to break this all the way down. Today, I'm going to share very simply on the show how to build a business that's going to transition you and get you free. All right. And I'm going to just share what I've done over the years, how to think about it, because this is a thought thing. All right. This is a thought thing. And then there's a doing piece, and I'll share all of those components with you. But likely you have not met someone that's been free for the majority of their life. Likely you have not had a conversation with someone who's unconventionally free. Right. And I know that for me, I really didn't meet a lot of people early on in my business when I was getting started who were full-time entrepreneurs. So let's just jump in. If you're ready, then I want you to say you're ready, right? And you have to be ready to receive a powerful message. And let's be clear, this is a powerful message, all right? And so, number one, the first thing that I did when I wanted to get myself free and build a transition plan for myself was I thought about, how do I want to live? Like, how do I want to live? And I say this because a lot of times we don't have a consideration on how we want to live. We're like shooting at a target, but we haven't defined that target. And when I look back now, 20 years later, and I think, man, that was pretty amazing what you were able to accomplish. How did you accomplish this goal? Well, I knew what I was shooting for. It was very clear for me. I wanted to be that mom, that's right, that could show up for everything in her kids' world. And I wanted to build a business around that lifestyle. And so I was super clear for myself around what I wanted, why I wanted it, okay, and how I had to design my work life in order for me to have what I wanted. And I knew what it would look like on the other side to settle. For me, a settle would have been to set up my work life just like my corporate life would have been. Okay, that would have been a settle for me. I was looking for something different. I wanted to live outside of the lines. I wanted my freedom. Okay, I wanted to control my time, and I wanted to work from the comfort of my home. Now, I want you to think about this for a second. Today, so many people talk about working from the comfort of their home, right? But I'm talking 20 years ago. 20 years, guys, hear me. There, people weren't working from the comfort of their home. Okay. And no. 20 years ago, I was a unicorn. Okay. Literally, there was no one my age on my block in their 30s working from the comfort of their home. Okay. There was no one doing that. Okay. And so it was very radical. It was a radical move. It was a radical level of thinking for many of my neighbors and my parents. I remember my dad coming over once in the middle of the day, and I was working, and he said to me, "Are you working?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm working." And he was like, "Must be nice." There was this disbelief around the idea that you could work from your house and be productive in your work, because this is 20 years ago. This isn't like working like today. We think about working from home like in a natural way. And I can tell you that it's so much easier to do today than it was 20 years ago, but it's my mastery. The first thing I asked myself was, how do I want to live? And I knew what I did not want, and I knew also what I wanted. And what I wanted, and I defined very clearly, was the level of quality of existence that I wanted to have with my family, how I wanted to spend my days, what did I want to do during my days, and what kind of work, and who did I want to serve. And I want you to think about that as you think about what it is that you do. It doesn't matter what you do, you can always change it or repurpose or restructure it or renegotiate what you do. So life is on your own terms. Does this make sense? And so often we've been brainwashed from the by the people in our world, by what we've seen, and also by what we haven't seen, that we haven't had the courage to be ourselves, to show up and for ourselves in the way that we want to live. So the second thing you have to do when you decide you want to create a transition plan to get yourself free is you've got to be brave. And I would say you've got to be brave for yourself. Like, you're gonna have to be brave because you got to understand that you are doing something that the vast majority of people in the world don't have the courage to do, or they don't have the belief in themselves that they can get themselves there. And so what I did was I worked on my mindset, and I decided that this right here was the number one thing that could get me anywhere that I wanted to go. And I wanted to think differently. I didn't want to sound like anyone else. I didn't want to be like anyone else. And I didn't want to do what anyone else was doing, because what I realized was that I just embraced my differences. I embraced the fact that my authenticity, I invited that in my space, understanding wholeheartedly that what I was looking to do, there were no examples of what working from home 20 years ago would look like. Being a mom strategist or a mom coach 20 years ago, there were no mom coaches. It just didn't exist. And I understood that if I were going to create a lane all to myself, if I was going to be in the category of one, the first thing I had to work on and master was my own bravery. That means that when doubt would come forward, or insecurity, when you don't see what you've been doing out there in the world, it's easy to doubt yourself and believe that what you're doing will not work. And I decided I would never make a decision from the outside in. I'd make it only from the inside out. And if I did the work on myself, if you do the work on yourself, then it'll be so much easier for you to embrace the fact that you can transition and get yourself free. All right, does this make sense? Or are you guys following me? And if you're following me, even if you're watching the replay, I want you to write, this is making sense. I am getting this, because this was the mindset. First, I thought, how do I want to live? And then from there, I decided I was going to be absolutely brave for myself. And I didn't want my mindset to ever get in the way of my mission. And I've seen so many amazing people who've allowed their mindset to get in the way of the mission and the calling that's on their life. Because if you don't invest in your thought life, if you don't strengthen who you are and how you see yourself and understand the, like what you're fully capable of, then you never really reach for the things that you want. It means that a message like this would never be attracted to you. You would say, this is not for me. This is pie in the sky, because of mindset, not believing that it's attainable. But I'm telling you, like, that's what I did, right? And so it's not alive in a traditional sense of teach you 1, 2, 3, 4, because that's not what I did. I created a vision for how I wanted to live. And then I decided to be brave for myself. And I knew I couldn't be brave thinking, and embracing fear, doubt, insecurity, lack, not being abundant minded, not wholeheartedly embracing my uniqueness, my skills, my talents, not embracing being grateful every single day for the gifts that I had. And I decided just to do everything I could to focus on that girl. The third thing that you must do if you want to get yourself free is you got to be out of the box. Okay. Like, when I say out of the box, I mean being comfortable being out of the box. Okay. I'm very comfortable out of the box. All right. So many people who are, your ideas belong out the box, but you put them in the box because you've just been hanging around a bunch of folks in your network, in your community, who maybe are fantastic at what they do, but they are in the box. Okay. And I'll tell you what the box can look like. So the box for me was like career track. Okay. Like somebody saying, in order to do this, then you have to do this, then you have to do this, right? To kiss the ring, to do this. All right. Or the box looked like for me was you need to have this certification, this education, you need to do this in order to go here. All right. There were boxes. Okay. And so many people are inside of a box in their business, in their life, and their dreams that they never reach for what they wanted. And what I realized for myself was I'm just going to be the out of the box girl. What if I don't have to take those steps, step by step, to get where I want to? Why can't I just jump or leap or reach for exactly where I want to be, in opposed to believing that there's this long winding path, or that I have to go through all of these people in order for me to realize what I'm meant to do? And I didn't do that. And so I began to invest in myself at a very high level. I invested with tons of coaches and mentors over the course of the years. And I met a coach who absolutely changed my life. His name is Dan. And one of the things that Dan helped me to do was amplify all of who I am. And so I say this to you because sometimes you're amazing at what you do, but you might not know the best way to amplify what it is that you do. And he showed me how to amplify what it is that I knew how to do. And as a result of that, I began to create, 10 times the results that I was doing, for myself, right? And my business exploded like gangbusters. So I say this to you is that if you don't already have someone in your life that is an amplifier, a person that can see you as you are, but they also see you where you can be. That was really significant for me on my journey. And someone that is willing to hold that light, shine that light, bright light, and that wants you to exceed without any limitations or hesitations, without any insecurities or doubts, a person that is comfortable with you exceeding them. And I always say that, a great mentor is very comfortable with their students exceeding them. My students have done things like it's exact same time in their business as mine that I've never achieved. I have clients who within weeks of working with me have just done incredible things, hit six figures within weeks. I didn't do that when I got started 20 years ago. I built a foundation in my business. I always tell my clients I was an 18-month overnight success. And I love watching my clients do things because they stand on my shoulders and they get there quicker and faster and sooner. And it, to me, is just a wonderful thing to watch people exceed you, right? Like you're watching clients do things. I'm like, this is amazing, right? And that's what should happen. But you got to have that amplifier in your life, in your world. And I will say this, and I know that you guys know my heart on this. You've got to be out of the box. This idea of being in the box is the thing that's kept you stuck. It's the reason why you're not free yet, is because you're looking at all these other models, trading time for dollars, looking at somebody else's charging fees and saying, I'm at the top of that food chain. But sometimes it's that out of the box strategy that will absolutely get you free and allow you to stay free. And I know that was true for me, that I learned how to take my talents, my skills, and just do things in incredible ways in an out of the box way. Who would have thought that, I wrote my first book of 17, 18 years ago, and I got my very first corporate partnership with a Fortune 100 brand, simply pitching, right? And writing my own pitch letter to an executive within this company, and opened the door that continued to open for me multiple times doing strategic partnerships with this brand. How cool is that? Right? I was out of the box. If I were waiting for someone to represent me or waiting for someone to pitch me, I would still be waiting. But because I decided to do that work, to be brave for myself and to operate outside of the box, I created tremendous opportunity, and you can too. The fourth thing that you've got to do, and this is really important, and it goes with number 3, and that is you got to observe the masses and do the exact opposite. You got to observe what everybody else is doing and do the exact opposite. And I'm going to tell you why. There's a reason why on social media they call it followers, right? How many followers do you have? And I'll tell you that the vast majority of people are followers. They're followers. They're not leaders, okay? You notice that when you think of all these social media platforms, they don't have like leaders, right? No, they have followers. Okay, followers. All right, hear me on this. All right. And so when you're looking to get yourself free, you don't want to be a follower. You want to be a leader. And you want to have what you do, you want it to be so awesome and great and distinct that people want to follow what you do. All right. If you want to get yourself free, then you have to have methods or strategies or a system or a proprietary process that can be followed. And I will tell you that if you don't know how to do this, then you need to watch my webinar. I'll post a link here at the end of this live because, or you can go to miaredrick.com and just type, click on the webinar. I'll just type Mia Redrick here. Because that is how you can get yourself free, is you create your own process. You package your knowledge into a high ticket structure that's online or offline. You sell that system for high ticket, your method, your method. I didn't say their method, right? I didn't say duplicating somebody's method, your method. Okay. You market who you are, all of your background, your experience, your giftedness, your talent, your experience, so that the people who need what you have, the followers who are looking for you, say, oh, that's exactly what we need. And you learn how to close and sell like nobody's business in a systematic way. And this sounds really simple, because it really is when you have the right pieces pulled together. It's what I teach my clients how to do, how to package, how to price, how to position, and how to find buyers. And it's how they get themselves free. I've had many of my clients who have left their 9 to 5, their job, to run their own business based on their knowledge. And they could only do it because they packaged their knowledge into a structure that is sellable. So whether it's as licensing, or whether it's as a coach or as a consultant or something else, all right? But they did not get themselves free selling time. And what do I mean by that? They didn't get themselves free selling a service for $200 an hour, because what that does is it creates a cap on your income, and it is not scalable. And it is the reason why many people who are highly, highly educated, very professional at what they do, and create amazing results, never get to where they want to, meaning the freedom side. They don't get to live the way they want to because they are not packaging their knowledge and making that knowledge scalable for them. And if you don't understand that, that is the cornerstone of how to create a transition plan for yourself to get yourself free. I want to check in for a minute. Is this making sense? Are you getting this? All right. And even when you watch this as a replay, I want to hear from you. Let me know you're getting this and this is making sense. It's something that a lot of people never really think about, leveraging their education, their background, their gifts. You go to school. We've been told over the years, you get a great job, you get to create a great career. And then as a result of that, you do that until you retire. But the reality is that there's a lot of scalability that can happen just from leveraging your knowledge. And if you understood the value of what you know, and you knew the best practices to package it into a high ticket structure, or to create a premium service offering, if you understood how to price what you do for $2,500 per customer instead of $250 per client, or for $50,000 per customer, or $100,000 per customer. Think about the difference that could make in your life and in your world. And to do this in a way that's time rich without trading time for dollars. See, the only way you can truly get yourself free is understand and incorporate the power of leverage, which most people have never been taught. Typically, women have not been taught about how to allow leverage to work for them. And a lot of people of color equally have not been taught. And I'm just talking about this 100%. There are other groups as well. However, definitely a lot of the women and people of color have never been taught about the power of leverage. And as a result of it, you think in hustle and grind, working harder, but you're not working smarter. There are other ways and other practices that you can incorporate in your life and in your business that can get you free and allow you to stay free. And I hope that there is something that I've said that really has gotten you thinking tonight. And number 5, the last thing that I would say to you, if you want to create a transition plan to get yourself free. And it is possible. I've had clients who've created that for themselves in as little as a few months, and some over the course of a year to 2 years have gotten themselves free. It just depends on them. And many of them have created options for themselves. They now have a business that's exceptionally profitable. They love what they do professionally. But when they make that transition for themselves, they're no longer beholden to one income stream. They now have another income stream leveraging their knowledge. The fifth thing that I will share with you that is equally important is you need to learn from a person who is free. And, hear me on this. My motto over the years has always been, if you're not free, you can't teach me. And I'm super picky about who teaches me. And one of the things that's really important to me, or I'll just not work with them. If I find out you lack integrity, I'm not going to work with you. But one of the things that's very important to me is that my mentors are truly free. Because if I want to be free, then why am I learning from someone who isn't? And I'm so grateful. I've had so many coaches over the years that have been full-time entrepreneurs, and they've worked from the comfort of their home, or they've worked from anywhere that they've chosen in the world, which for me was very important because it was a model that I wanted from the time, I had my first son. And I say this to you because a lot of us are not discerning around that. I'll give an example. My husband and I owned a commercial laundry for about 17 years. And it was 17 years, okay? For 17 years. And what was interesting about that business was my husband mostly ran a lot of the operations of that business, right? And I did a lot of the sales and the marketing. But that business was not a business that you could truly be free in the way that we had structured it. It required a lot more hands-on. It was a business that could potentially own you, right? So it was interesting to me in watching that business over the years and watching my husband run that business, which was a great business, but it wasn't a business like my coaching and consulting business. And one of the biggest things that we could tell, hi Cheryl, one of the biggest ways that we could tell was when we would vacation. Like we would go to Disney all the time. We went to Disney like 13 times. And we would go to Disney and my husband's on the phone, like constantly, like on the phone. And in my business as a consultant and a coach, I had a lot more freedom in that business because of the models. So I say this to you that not all businesses and all models will fit the freedom that you desire. And it's really important to make sure that you have mentors and teachers and coaches that are free in the way that you desire to be free. And I find so many people are not discerning around that. I remember I was at a speaking conference many years ago, and an amazing speaker was on the stage, and the speaker said something like, last year, I was living my dream, and I believe the person was living their dream, and said, I traveled over 311 days all year. And I was like, oh my God, that's what I was thinking. For me, that was not the kind of freedom that wasn't freedom for me. Okay. Because remember, I got started in my business so I could be there for my family. So the very most important question to ask yourself is, how do I want to live? And you need to make sure that when you come up with your plan, that the mentor that you're choosing is living in a way that's congruent to those values, so that you're not learning how to be free with someone else's system and their value system that might not measure with the freedom that you want. I remember thinking to myself, if someone is free and they're going to mentor me, then I'm probably going to see you at home, right? Like if I'm on a Zoom call, you're probably going to be home, or you're probably going to be around the world, or something like that, because you are free. And you're probably going to be able to talk to me in the middle of the day, right? Because you're free. Okay, you follow me. And I wanted mentors and coaches that had that degree of transparency for me, because I wanted to know how to build a business from the comfort of my home. Is this making sense? Are you guys getting this? All right. Really, really important. It's not something that we hear a lot, people talk about a lot, because most of us do not know a mentor that's been free full-time for over 20 years. And I'll say this also as it relates to the mentor piece. A lot of times on the mentoring side, there's so much ego in like the guru, or, in the mentor piece. And I want you to hear me on this, right? Yes, I have great respect for what people accomplish, and I do. But I want you also to know that this is possible for you. This is not like you don't have to, what I'm saying, have thousands of followers in order for you to get yourself free. I have clients who don't have any social media presence at all, who are full-time entrepreneurs. I have clients who close big deals all the time, who they don't have any of the social media stuff. They don't even go live or do anything like that. I have clients who don't have a whole lot of clients, but they've got big clients. And if you don't understand how to package what you know and leverage what you know in a systematic way to get in front of those clients, it's the thing. That's what you need mentorship for. So I wanted to come on here today and just speak from my heart and share with you, because I know you want to get free and you can. And this is not a pipe dream, but you got to follow the things that I mentioned today. Number one, think about how you want to live. How do you want to live? How do you want to spend your day? Right? Why is this important to you? Number two, being brave for yourself. When you're talking about living in a way and that nobody else around you lives, it could be your spouse, it could be your best friends, your sorority sisters, all of this, and you're talking about working in a way that no one knows, you got to understand that folks will punch holes in that dream or in that thought process because they just are not having an elevated conversation with you because of they're not like-minded. Not that they're not kind or even trying to be negative, they just don't speak the language. Number three, you've got to be out of the box, and this idea that being in the box is the things that allows you to live like everybody else. And what I've learned is that the folks that I've met over the years who are free like me, okay, we are out of the box, and we're out of the box. Our ideas were extraordinarily comfortable being out of the box. And number four, you got to observe the masses and do the exact opposite. Look at what everybody else is doing, and that's not for you. The vast majority of people will get along and go along. They need to be led to what they want to do. There's plenty of room for you to do what you want, and no, the market is not saturated. Number five, you need to learn from someone who is free. All right, and so who's created a transition plan, and you like their kind of freedom. You got to learn from them. And likely you're going to have to make a significant investment. It's probably not going to be $97, okay, to learn from them. All right. And because I've always made, even my very first investment, I was significant, thousands of dollars. And I didn't have the money, but I knew that there was no way for me to get to where I wanted to be without investing at the highest level myself. So I said yes. All right. So I want to open the floor really quickly and see if there are questions for me. Are there any questions for me? Did this live support you or did it support you? It's unconventional, right? I wanted to come on and have this conversation with you because I think it's important. And who else are you going to talk to about this? No one. Okay, there's no one else, because a lot of times what happens is that when we see people who are living in a way that we want to live, we don't have access to them, and you have questions. It seems unattainable, but it's obtainable for you. And you never get to figure out, what did you do? How did you get yourself free? What are the steps that you took? And I think that if you only knew that it's possible, right? But you got to think differently and you got to move differently. You got to invest differently. You got to be out of the box. And your mindset is your number one thing that really allows you to just to lead the mission. And when you don't invest at the highest level in your mindset, so your choices reflect what everybody else does. So it's true, most people just don't, right? So any last call, any other questions, comments, ahas, or takeaways? I want to thank you for being here, right? You could have been anywhere, but you decided to be here today, and you decided to be here for a reason. So likely it's because you have a desire to get yourself free and you want to stay free. And I always say that to my clients, like, your goal isn't just to get free. You want to get yourself free and you want to build the business in a way that allows you equally to stay free. Right? If I can support you in any way, and I can, visit miaredrick.com. I'll just post the link here. and watch my webinar. If you haven't done that, you can always book a strategy session. If you have an ability to create results for others and you're trying to figure out the best way to maneuver to charge what you do for high ticket, book a strategy session with us. Or if you are in your business currently and the model is broken, and you're looking to scale what it is that you do and you need some support around the way forward for that, book a session with us. I'm happy to offer that to you if, in fact, you have an ability to create results for others. It's possible. All right. I want to thank you for your time tonight. I appreciate you for being here and have an amazing night.